Behold, the MacGuffin of the gods. Here, the Widowmaker slumbers upon the Blighted Isle, waiting for a worthy champion to slake its thirst for blood. And under the watchful gaze of Khaine, 4 heroes will do battle for the right to wield it. Free-for-all time, as Xiphos, Carstein, Survivor Clone, and your boy bring the pleasure and pain on Warhammer 2. High Elves, Tomb Kings, Vampire Counts, and moistened bints lobbing scimitars all over the place. The God of Murder will enjoy the show, and I think you guys will too. So, I'm playing the Azure with a Teclis and Star Dragon core, and generally you want to bring net here so you can line up those perfect breath attacks, but I skipped it this game, totally because I knew I could line up some great ones anyway, and not because I'm a dumbass. Chain Lightning, Flock of Doom, Regrowth. Maybe it would have been hard to squeeze some nets in there alongside all those other spells, but anyway, we've got Spears, Archers, a Bolt Thrower, and 2 Dragon Princes backing them up, and that will round out the rest of my army. So, a bit of everything, but certainly top heavy and reliant on the expensive stuff to carry the day. To the east march the ancient constructs of the Tomb Kings and the Exiles of Nehek. Carstein commands the Undead, Ushabti, Screaming Skulls, Tomb Guard, and a Hyro Titan, led by Khatep and Tomb Prince bodyguards. Very elite force meant for brawling in a compact formation, and a Kemrian War Sphinx out front for devastating infantry. War Kitty certainly knows how to play with its food. Then we have Xiphos, and here we see the violence inherent in the system. A glorious and dastardly spam of Grail Knights, led by Queen Bathwater herself, Morgiana Le Fay, and Bretonnia is not wasting any time. They're out to purge the undead from this realm so they can draw the Godslayer for themselves, and Zombos will feel their burning wrath. Rest of the army for Survivor is a command center of Isabella von Carstein. Quickly! Swiftly! Quickly! And her 2 handmaidens, Graveguard, Blood Knights, and a Mortis engine, which could be amazing against Stampede of Bretonnian Cav. And right now he's positioned closest to the sword too, so might have an advantage on that aspect as well. Just role-playing a bit, you nerds. So yeah, some really good players in this game, obviously, but a bit of memeing going on here too, and it should be a awesome spectacle indeed, so let's get it poppin'. For obvious reasons, free-for-all armies tend to be constructed a little bit differently than your typical 1v1 land battle build, and while mobility is obviously very strong there as well, it is king in free-for-alls. The downside to an army like Xiphos' though, is that it gives away a lot of points. Grail Knights cost a lot, and they aren't exceptionally hard to kill. They tend to attract mages and monsters from all over the map too, looking for an easy way to rack up the score. Which is why Teclis is on his way over to potentially begin that magical bombardment. In this choke point, the Phase Elite Knights are unlikely to have a very good time, especially not with the Mortis engine en route. There's a nice Earthblood to counteract the Flock of Doom, but it's all set up for a Chain Lightning, and this is why Flying Mages can have an absolute field day in this mode. Because whenever units are grouping up to fight, and both your attentions are focused on that action, then a random third-party knife-ear dude comes in from nowhere to drop a nuke on your head and damage both armies. Quick response from Xiphos though. He'll escape without too many losses there, but I don't think he wants a protracted engagement around that Mortis engine. That's a great way to have the life from all your Grail Knights drained. Vamps have a big terrain advantage here, and a fresh more billion zombies shambling their way over. So Belle Delphine is out of there, and may look to disengage completely. There simply aren't many reliable points to get against the Counts until he has a reliable way to cut down the Blood Knights, Mortis Engine, and Izzy, and he doesn't have that from this angle. So instead, looks like Bretonnia will shift their attention to the Exiles of Nehek, while the High Elves take the hill and perhaps try to push their advantage on the Undead from above. Teclis will be anywhere and everywhere this game, alongside that Star Dragon, basically a vulture waiting for the perfect breath attack, waiting for the perfect Chain Lightning, Flock of Doom, what have you. It's a nice one on the Tomb Kings there, and here come the Dragon Princes trying to sweep away the chaff. Bit of a limp dick charge there though, I'm not sure exactly why. Zombies do have a decent amount of mass, but Blood Knights are there to reinforce, and then it's time for the Dragon Princes to get out of there, because in a straight up fight, they will not beat Blood Knights, especially not when zombies are blocking their charge. But this is probably not an advantageous fight for the Vampire Counts against the High Elves. The Mortis engine is very susceptible to focus fire from the archers or to breath attacks from that Star Dragon, and they have no flyer support, so those two flyers can kind of just chill atop them, and they really can't do anything about it. Nice Spirit Leech from the Hydro Titan on some Grail Knights, and this should be interesting. I'm very curious how Zypho's micro will hold up when he has to micro, what, 8, 9 Grail Knights, and basically surround and outmaneuver a Tomb King's army that can somewhat reliably deal with heavy cav spam. Elite Halberds, a Hydro Titan, a Khemrian War Sphinx, and Tomb Princes is a tough nut to crack, and there's no way to do it without bleeding models. Managed to catch out the Screaming Skull immediately though, that's a nice pick. And they're getting some help from the High Elf Bolt Thrower, which sees a big fat Hydro Titan and wants a piece of that ass. Here comes Izzy and her goons, the quickest and swiftest ladies in all the land, and immediately a zombie summoned to tie down the archers with the Star Dragon, and Teclis on his Bird of Prey are right there. And we've got a goon fight for the ages. Can 3 vampire ladies take on the most elite of all dragons in Warhammer Fantasy and a flaming burb? Well, I wouldn't have said so, but it looks like maybe they can. Teclis had to take off, and Potion of Shiroi was popped to give him that 40% ward save and a bit of regen, while the Dragon Princes get their downhill charge into the Blood Knights. But those Knights are supported very well by the Vampire Ladies, and I imagine more summons will be forthcoming very soon. Invocation of Nehek and a Strawberry Milkshake Breath. Definitely dodged by Isabella von Carstein. That was important. If she didn't move there and she moved at the exact right time, she would have melted to that breath attack. When you get that perfect vertical strike from above, it's nasty for single entities to deal with. But if you move, not going to do that much damage. Wind of Death to clear out some of the High Elf Spearmen, but not a great one. In fact, I'd say that Fiery Convocation was quite a bit better, and it's laying up for a Chain Lightning, and the Zombo Horde shuffling up the hill, about to get taken to Pound Town. That is a nasty Chain Lightning, and carving a path of ruinous destruction through the Vampire Count's ranks. Look at that. It is still going, and it is going in the right direction, too. Teclis, 186 kills after a single cast. And as a result, High Elves are in the lead with 9,300. Zyphos not far behind at 8,000. Aerocrastic is neck and neck with him, and Survivor Clone at 3,700 thus far. A lot of the Grail Knights have been cleared out. The Fae is a fantastic healer of wounds, but even she does not have the Winds of Magic to regrowth all these beaten and battered Knights back into existence, and Bretonnia should think about heading elsewhere. They did a lot of damage, but it appears the Tomb Kings have weathered that initial storm, and once you lose momentum with your cav charges, the advantage that mobility affords is that you don't have to stay and fight. You can pick and choose where to go, and for Bretonnia, that might mean charging into the back of this High Elf army. Focus fire on Isabella, not doing a whole lot, but they will quickly turn their attention to that Mortis engine, which is now in range, and that is a fantastic way to get crazy value. Nice Flock of Doom, too. And watch this Mortis melt. Of course, breath attack will be top priority for that Star Dragon, and 3,000 HP melted away instantly, and that is the firepower afforded by a Star Dragon in free-for-all battle, especially when it's partnered up with Teclis and Kindle Flame. That is absolutely disgusting. It will explode, and that is a big loss for the Vampire Counts as Chain Lightning continues to carve apart these shambling hordes over on their right flank. But the Goon Squad of Isabella and the 2 Vampire Ladies is still around. Question is, can they beat back another charge from the Star Dragon and from the Arcane Phoenix? And Isabella is beginning to feel the effects of all those big monsters munching on her booty. Over here, Bretonnian Knights got into the Bolt Thrower, which I think lost sight. No, I think it was chasing after some Grail Knights that routed, and they're dead. But it got some decent value, fired into the Hydro Titans and the Knights for a while, so certainly not a terrible trade there. Perhaps a bit absent-minded, though, to allow it to move up without any support whatsoever. Dragon Princes are beaten to hell on both sides, but chomping their way through a bunch of Skeleton Spearmen, and the full surround of Isabella's Goon Squad is beginning in earnest, and Teclis, remember, can heal himself and that Star Dragon if things start getting bad. But now they have another threat to worry about, and this is why I love the dynamism of free-for-alls, because you gotta worry about a lot of things and a lot of different armies, and they can strike you at any time when you are not prepared. It looks like the High Elves knew it was coming. They managed to get the Arcane Phoenix in a position to tie down these Grail Knights. Star Dragon is in danger, though, now isolated and being cut to pieces as a Combat of Cast Endura, Chalice of Potions, from that Fae Enchantress drops down from above. Regrowth for the Star Dragon to get him back into the action, which is definitely worth it. But remember, if you heal your expensive single entities, you are potentially feeding more points to your opponents. So it is one thing you have to worry about, especially in late game scenarios. If you try to max out your Star Dragon, but it's in a hopeless situation and can't take off, you're maybe giving them enough points to take the lead and perhaps beat you on score. So definitely something to keep in mind. Earthblood on the Grail Knights, and the Fae Enchantress is healthy as you would expect. It's so incredibly difficult to kill her, and her Missing Lady makes her a Mortis Engine too. So it's not like Bretonnia doesn't have an effective way to clear out blobs either. If you can't kill Fae, she will punish you heavily. Speaking of being punished, Grail Knight charge right up the center, and the Azure Archers are being run down. Star Dragon and Teclis coming in to rend these Elite Knights with Talon and Claw. Those are the same thing. It sounded cool though. Beak might be a better second word there. Anyway, they did what they needed to. They're clearing out the cav, and it looks like a terror rout is imminent for quite a few of these Grail Knights, and they're relatively close to the edge of the map too, so Zyphos has to be careful. Isabella fed to Teclis at the end. He was literally screaming in Discord he did not want to die to Zyphos, so I obliged him and gave her the death that she so desperately wanted with the Arcane Phoenix. She had 44 HP, and one little peck was enough to finish her for good. Dragon Princes took one look at that Khemrian Warsphinx bounding down the hill and said, nope, we out of here, boys. Want no part of that action. I said terror route for Grail Knights. I meant normal route just because they're getting their asses beat, which they definitely are. A lot of them are super low, but they are immune to psychology, so a Star Dragon or Arcane Phoenix charge will not terror route them, but it looks like they're all routing anyway for the most part, and that will leave Fae in a precarious position herself. She can run away, but it's hard for her to get those Mortis Rain effects in if she has no support whatsoever, no Grail Knights around her, and perhaps an Arcane Phoenix feasting upon her Mount Silveron. So, Aerocrastic has made his way over. He's lumbering slowly. Hyro Titans are not known for their speed. They're not quick and swift like Isabella von Carstein, and that means that a Star Dragon Breath is just what the doctor ordered. Now, didn't get as much damage there as I expected. I don't know if the Hyro Titan was in the middle of an attack animation when it went through, but it seemed to have dodged a decent chunk of the effects there. Normally, I feel like that would have done 2,000, upwards of 2,000 damage on a Hyro Titan. It got more like 1,200 or so. And I think you can get up to like 2,400, 2,500 on a Star Dragon Breath if Kindle Flame is active and you're in the right spot. So, was a little bit disappointed by the Breath attack, but certainly not terrible. Faye's in a horrible spot now. She must run. Star Dragon and Teclis would completely destroy her. But here comes the Liger Zero, and the High Elf Spearmen are not going to be able to receive that charge well. I mean, it's like they're not even there. Turn into a fine red mist, and you know Arrow knows how to cycle charge with a Khemrian Warsphinx. So in the span of about 5 seconds, it's racked up 50 kills. And even more incoming. That is so brutal and satisfying to watch, unless you're a massive High Elf fan. But I just love me some blood. So even if it's my army, I can still appreciate the glory that is a Khemrian Warsphinx charge, especially when it's microed well, as it is being done so now. And we've got Kaiju fights alongside the Tomb Princes and Khatep, who have made their way over, no longer with any infantry support. But killing Khatep himself will be difficult because he's got Guardian Aura to protect him, and 2 Tomb Princes, which are difficult for Teclis or the Star Dragon to land attacks on, and of course, have that bonus versus large armor-piercing halberd. What the F was that, dude? My lord. Just utter carnage being unleashed by that Khemrian Warsphinx, and the Tomb King's constructs are going to be a huge problem for the Azure in late game. Now, they do have a pretty comfortable lead. Vampire count just crumbled out completely. They're at 7,500, so no hope for them to win this battle. Arrow's at 870, or 8, what? How do numbers work? 8,700, and Zyphos is around 1,200 with the High Elves at 1,500. So, if Aerocrastic can be last man standing, take out Teclis and the Star Dragon, potentially has a chance to win this game, because there's a lot of points left on the field with those expensive single entity monsters, and potentially more regrowths going their way too. something that perhaps the High Elves will have to calculate in an endgame scenario. Faye, absolutely hating life right now. She's being hunted to the edge of the map by Teclis on his Arcane Phoenix. And the High Elf Spearman, also not having a good time. Straight up, not having a good time, boys. Being chased down by the Khemrian War Sphinx, and I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll probably see them again, but they're not going to be able to do anything here. Even against the Hyrule Titan, especially not against the Khemrian War Sphinx. But the Flyers for the Azure have made their way over, and that is a regrowth. So, yeah, we decided to heal up the Star Dragon, potentially feeding more points in an unwinnable scenario, but there's more points for the High Elves to earn too. And as long as they don't get completely surrounded and land 0 attacks and just get completely screwed on their attack rolls, they should be able to kill some stuff. And yes, indeed, a couple attacks into the Khemrian War Sphinx is enough to crumble it out. Star Dragon brings the beast low, and the Liger Zero is no more. Now, Teclis and the Star Dragon will turn their attention to the Hyrule Titan. Those Tomb Princes are still a big problem, and this is why you hold on to that Ushabti for endgame scenarios, because when monsters get pinned down by them, they can't go anywhere, and then you have a Hyrule Titan to beat their ass. That is a great way to get a ton of points, and the only thing the High Elves can do against them now is drop a Fiery Convocation bounce spell, which predictably will do absolutely freaking nothing. 150 damage. Whoopie-dee-doo, dude. I still don't really get why wind spells and vortex spells shouldn't be dealing good damage to monstrous infantry. Like, I do think it's a weird thing. It's not how it worked on tabletop at all. You could wipe an ogre army, from what I understand, with Purple Sun Azarius, but in this game it'll deal like 3 damage to them. It's very strange. Faye's running the High Elf archers off the map, trying to get whatever points she can, but unfortunately not able to close the gap before they rounded off of their own volition, which was very smart on their part. Teclis is being destroyed by this Goon Squad, and he will run, Star Dragon landing and trying to take out that Hyrule Titan, but this will likely be the end of the Majestic Beast because Kryptonian Laser Eyes being sent its way. Ushabti Summon still there, 133 HP and dropping fast. It has 3 chevrons. It was a monster this game, but it is gone from this world too soon. And Teclis, in a rage, will decide to descend, and if he can, strike out in vengeance for his lost homie. Pour one out for the dragons. Feels bad, man. Trying to get a Shem's Burning Gaze into Teclis, which is, by the way, one of the worst possible targets ever, from what I understand. I don't remember what the flame resist is on Teclis. I think it's like 70%. It's at least 40%, which means, I mean, he'll take very little damage from a flaming magic missile, but use it whenever you can, right? Like, you gotta bring him down. And Faye is routing. She might rally before the edge of the map. Teclis fighting the rest of the Tomb King's army by himself, and Faye did return. And Arrow has 2 choices. Kill the bird or kill Faye, and the Hyrule Titan will decide to turn his back, and he was a good 2,000 HP ahead of Teclis before this fight began. Magic Missile completely dodged, actually, by Xiphos. It'll still be enough to round off the Faye, but not get Arrow any points. And now, because the Hyrule Titan has turned his flank, he's been hit in the butthole 5 times in a row, and he, despite the awesome laser eyes, will crumble out, and Teclis managed to get vengeance for the Star Dragon before going down himself. And in terms of points, 17,000 for the High Elves, 14,500 for Arrow, who was last man standing, but didn't quite have enough gas to push himself above into first place. Xiphos in third with 12,600, and Survivor Clone with 7,500, who had a rough time. He so would have loved to have fought that blob of Grail Knights with his Mortis engine intact. Could have been so many points for him, but Xiphos was right to disengage and go elsewhere. Star Dragon, 4,000 damage value. Teclis, almost 7,000 damage value, and they put the High Elf team on their back, no question about it. Bolt Thor did okay, and the Dragon Princes did as well, but it was really Teclis and the Star Dragon that carried the day in this free-for-all. Faye, 3,200 damage value from her Mortis Drain effect, and of course, all that healing for her Grail Guardians and Grail Knights. And for Arrow Krastic, we saw That's not Arrow. That's very weird how that works. Arrow, Khatep. Didn't really see much of him this game, but he did okay. 1400. And then the Tomb Princes kept him alive throughout the course of the battle. 1800, 2000 damage, respectively. Almost 3000 on the Camarine War Sphinx, which had a hell of a time stomping its way through infantry. And then the Isabella Goon Squad did what they could, but that Blood Knight army was not well suited for taking on the High Elves in an uphill scenario, and they were just shellacked by Chain Lightning's fiery convocations and Star Dragon breath attacks, and that poor Morris engine just melted to High Elf Archer Fire and the Star Dragon breath. So, super fun free-for-all. Nice little taste of what we'll be seeing in Immortal Empires, hopefully very soon. And if you guys want to see more of that action, please do let me know in the comment section below. I'll see you all in the next video. GG to all the homies in this game. Had a blast with it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.